I wanna hear the one about the big old plum tree. I wanna hear the one about the giggly bumblebee. I wanna hear the one about the juggly jumping flea. That's the story that I wanna hear. That's the story, that's the story, that's the story that I wanna hear. That's the story, that's the story, that's the story that I wanna hear.
Hello, I'm Ronnie. Welcome to another show. It's another weekend, another theme. See if you can pick out what this week's theme is. It's pretty easy, really. Now, first let's head for Planet Fish.
Kevin had no idea what was on the other side of the fence. He just knew there was something and there was no arguing about that. Kevin had moved into number 19 Eastbrook Terrace just yesterday, and today he was exploring the backyard. There were nooks, there were crannies, there were heaps of places he could build huts and tunnels in the bushes and make forts and have all kinds of wonderful make-believe games. But it was the farthest corner of the backyard where Kevin found something rather disturbing, a visitor from another planet. He was busy investigating this farthest part of the backyard, humming as he went when he heard a voice. "Hello," it spoke, as if through the very fence itself. Kevin was a little nervous and quite a lot scared. "Hello," he said back to the voice. "I'm Kevin," he said with a shaky voice. "What's your name?" There was silence for a moment, and then came back, "Maribek, I'm not from here." This made Kevin take a big gulp. "Where are you from?" he asked. "Far away," the voice answered mysteriously. The kids at school would never believe this. "So, you're not from here?" Kevin asked Maribek, and Maribek answered even more mysteriously. "I live with my family at Planet Fish." And Kevin's eyes nearly popped out. "Wow," he thought to himself, "what's Planet Fish like?" He asked Maribek, imagining a world where people had gills and could swim in the sea. Maribek answered Kevin's question. "Fishy." "Fishy?" thought Kevin, and then he thought, well, it's a planet of fish after all. And then Kevin asked, "Why are you here?" And Maribek answered, "Visiting relatives," which Kevin thought was quite plausible, as the people next door did have a fish pond. Perhaps they'd visited Earth earlier. "So, how did you get here?" asked Kevin. There was nothing from the other side of the fence for quite some time. "In my dad's car," answered Maribek. And Kevin asked, "Does everyone have a car on your planet?" And Maribek answered, "No, my older brother and sister have one, but me and my mother don't." Kevin was a little nervous of the next question, but he had to ask. "Can I visit your Planet Fish?" And Maribek sounded quite keen. "Oh yes, many people visit Planet Fish, 9 till 6:30 every day, except Sundays." "Kevin, lunch is ready." It was Kevin's dad. He'd been making homemade fish and chips. "I gotta go." And he ran inside to tell his mum and dad all about his meeting an alien from Planet Fish. Maribek was sitting in the back seat of his dad's car. His mum was in the front passenger seat. "I met Uncle Pat's new neighbours," Maribek said to his parents. "Could you please stop playing with that voice changer? It's driving me nuts." Maribek put the present his Uncle Pat had given him on the back seat of the car. "Sorry, Dad." Maribek undid his seatbelt as they arrived home. "Can I go and play with them next time we're at Uncle Pat's?" His dad agreed and said that would be nice as he unlocked the back door to their home that was above a shop whose sign read, "Planet Fish, suppliers of quality fresh fish. Open 6 days."
Oh, Planet Fish. It's a fish shop. I get it. Very clever. Now, why don't you make up a planet? A completely made-up planet. Invent the beings that live on that planet. Write about what you think they eat, how they get around, where they go on holiday. And while you're doing that, here's a little inspiration.
Far, 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 far up in the sky, way away and way up high, there's a planet that's green and can barely be seen by the naked human eye. On this planet are creatures with interesting features and necks that are long and quite bendy. Their arms are quite short, I would have thought, for their clothes are fantastically trendy. Their voices are loud, their noses are proud, and stick quite a way in the air. Their ears billow out, and their heads like a sprout, but it lacks any form of hair. They gather around to hear the great sound of their leader who lives in a box. The leader is older and therefore much bolder and covers his sprout head with socks. The creatures sing songs and some of them hit gongs and dance all the night and the day. They chatter together in all kinds of weather and always have plenty to say. So next time you look high up into the great sky, think what else there could be. Way out there in space, in some other place. Much more than just you and me.
Okay, here's a little bit of a game. You have to listen very carefully. I want you, from the clues I'm about to give you, to guess when in history I am. Listen very carefully. You're allowed to use Google.
When in history am I?
On April 15 of this year, Samuel Johnson's A Dictionary of the English Language is published in London. On November the 1st of this year, Lisbon earthquake kills more than 50,000 people in Portugal. And Mary Antoinette was born in this year.
When in history am I?
Did you get it? Do you know when in history I am? If you're not sure, get the teacher to play it again, but listen very carefully and maybe take some notes and head along to Google. You might find out. Let's have another story. Have you guessed this week's theme yet?
Jeremy had to be in bed by 8 o'clock. Usually he kicked up a big fuss and tried as hard as he could to stay up just that little bit longer. But today, Jeremy was keen to get to bed early. Today wasn't like any other day. No, today was a very special day because Jeremy was having a sleepover with one of his secret alien friends. Jeremy rushed to get his teeth brushed and his face washed. He quickly got into his pyjamas, and before his mum could say tickety-boo, he was snuggled up inside his bed, the covers pulled up to his chin, reading his favourite alien bedtime story. Jeremy's mum was most impressed. Jeremy was usually a real pain to get into bed. Jeremy's mum kissed Jeremy goodnight and turned out the big light, leaving Jeremy's little bedside lantern on. Jeremy sat in bed. He sat and he waited for his secret alien friend to arrive. He told him not to get there before 8:15 p.m. There was a faint tapping at Jeremy's bedroom window. Jeremy leapt out of bed to look. There outside was Fligemy, the great hairy creature from the planet Flambon. Out in the back garden, underneath the cherry tree, was Fligemy's fantastic flying saucer, resplendent with flashing green lights and things that went beep. Jeremy lifted up his bedroom window and let Fligemy crawl inside. Fligemy was well prepared and was already wearing his nightgown and bedtime slippers. Fligemy had also brought his bedtime buddy Ramson with him. Ramson was a tiny, fuzzy, 8-legged critter from the planet Zoom. Fligemy had rescued Ramson on a space crusade. Ramson had been just a wee thing, and Fligemy had saved him from the jaw-busting, skull-crushing foes of the planet Crumb. Jeremy guessed that a thing like Ramson was similar to a small fluffy kitten here on Earth. However, Ramson had 300 sharp, pointy teeth. Jeremy figured that Ramson could bite really hard if he wanted to. Jeremy thought he'd make sure that Ramson slept well away down the other end of the bed. He didn't trust those teeth one little bit. Jeremy was very excited. He'd never shared a bed with an alien before. He watched as Fligemy got himself ready. Fligemy ran his claws through his big hairy coat and polished his alien eyebrows with a whiz-ball from his nightgown pocket. Fligemy shook his hairy heads, he had 2 of them, and fluffed out his hairy coat, and then he took off his bedroom slippers and got into bed. Fligemy made himself comfortable, and Ramson curled up on top of the covers down by Fligemy's tail. Jeremy figured that he'd get into bed too. Like any sleepover, Jeremy and Fligemy couldn't get to sleep for ages. They were way too happy in each other's company for sleep. They talked, and Fligemy told Jeremy incredible tales from the planet Oomph and all about his new friend Remula. He'd met Remula at a birthday party and they'd hit it off straight away. They'd bought their flying saucers from the same flying saucer salesman and so had lots in common. Fligemy told Jeremy that next time he came over for a visit, he'd bring Remula with him. He thought that they'd get on very well indeed. Jeremy told Fligemy all about school and the trip they'd had to the aquatic centre. He also told him about the school softball team that he'd tried out for and all about his Nan's new car. Like any sleepover, Jeremy had hidden some special secret treats under his pillow, and he and Fligemy ate until they were nearly sick, and then talked some more. But eventually, the inevitable happened, and the two of them fell soundly asleep. Jeremy curled up closely to Fligemy's warm, hairy body, and Ramson snoring gently at the foot of the bed. It was very, very late. Jeremy was woken abruptly by the sound of his mother's voice calling him at precisely 7 a.m. Fligemy, Ramson and the fantastic flying saucer were gone. All that was left in Jeremy's bed was some sicky, sticky lolly wrappers and a small scattering of potato chip crumbs. "What's all this mess in your bed? It looks like you've had a sleepover, Jeremy," tutted his mother as she picked up some wrappers entangled in a long hairy hair, a hair that did not belong to Jeremy at all. Jeremy smiled to himself as he got out of bed. The alien sleepover had been fun, and Jeremy couldn't wait to do it all over again. But now it was time to get ready for school.
Alrighty, our first game was When in History Am I? This game is called Where Am I? So, Zoe's about to give you some clues. From those clues, try and guess where on planet Earth we are talking about. Don't forget to take notes, and you're allowed to use Google. Here we go.
Where on earth could I be? It's tricky, I think you'll agree. I'll give you a clue, perhaps even two. Oh, where on earth could I be?
314 million people live in our country. Our country serves over 100 acres of pizza every day. Every second, we collectively eat 100 pounds of chocolate, and because of that, 1 in 3 of us are obese. We bought Alaska in 1867 from the Russians. Until 1836, Christmas was illegal in our country. Our country has no official language. The banana is our most popular fruit. We have a town in our country called the Big Ugly. We banned sliced bread in 1943. Our country's government owns the world's GPS tracking system and can turn it off whenever we want.
Oh, where on earth could I be?
Did you guess it? Did you guess it again? If you're not sure and you need more time, maybe get the teacher to play it again for you. Don't forget to take notes, and you're allowed to use Google. Let's have another story.
The mysterious spaceship flashed lights green and blue. It hovered at first and landed just outside Timaru. On board were dozens of strange-shaped blobs, a little-known species called the flabberhobs. Down the gangplank they wobbled and spun to take over planet Earth. What fun! They'd heard lots of stories about big cities, crowds and shops, but what did they see? Well, not a lot.
Offal,
Gasped Flabbernob, for that's how they spoke.
snuffle, plum, gazan, gurgly spout.
I could go on, but I'd better translate.
Is this it? Blimey, Earth's such a state.
Before the flabberhobs was a green field of grass. No houses in sight, nor lights, shops or bars. None of the excitement the aliens had expected to see. No humans, banks, or even a spree. Wait, what's that over in the far field? The flabberhobs wobbled around on their rear wheels.
Oh, it must be the humans we've heard described. But from the looks of it, the tales were all lies.
All fluffy and white with legs knobbly and black. These humans just stood there. How slack. Some were eating green grass, others sniffing around. One was pooing lumps all smelly and brown.
Pna, pna.
Said one flabberhob in his native speak, expecting the human to say something unique. But all he got in reply, of course, was "Bah!" and a few snuffly snorts. The flabberhobs tried in vain to make sense of the bahs, but they kept going in circles.
Pna,
Bah!
pna, pna. This is dumb,
Thought one alien.
and I'm getting homesick. Earth's overrated. Let's get back double quick.
Taking one last glance, the alien sighed. Earth is nothing but strange white blobs. It was all lies. There's no point visiting, it's just a field of grass. Why bother to invade? Someone's having a laugh.
Don't forget to subscribe to our That's the Story YouTube channel. We need your help. Pop along to YouTube, search for That's the Story, subscribe to our That's the Story YouTube channel. We'll be adding new cartoons, animations, songs, stories, heaps of stuff. So do pop along and subscribe. Please.
Astra visits the moon. The night that broad beans were served on her plate, Astra discovered a new thing to hate. They sent her to bed with no supper early. Astra was fed up being treated so girly. She hopped in her spacesuit and climbed in her rocket, aimed for the moon using keys from her pocket. The night sky was cloudy and stars oh so bright. When Astra first landed, she got such a fright. The moon wasn't empty or made of green cheese, but a party was there, in full swing if you please. An octopus sitting at the head of the table said,
"Do join our group and be part of our fable. With muffins and truffles and cupcakes galore. Please don't just stand there and be such a bore. With strudel on poodle, then jelly on top. Here's ice cream and you scream for cool soda pop. Take jaffas, take pancakes and pile them high. With so much to choose from, do I hear you sigh?
"There's something I'll show you if you'll only see. I'd eat all this food, but my helmet stops me." The octopus nodded and scratched at his head, then tapped Astra's helmet, and here's what he said.
You do have a problem, that's easy to see. But I have a solution, just listen to me. You just need to think through the things you can do. That gives a solution that works out for you.
"But how can I have cake and eat that cake too, when this helmet is solid and cake won't go through?"
The helmet, you need it when you're on the moon. But breathing without it is fine in your room.
"I see what you're saying. My solution is found. The cake, I can eat it when back on the ground."
So load up your rocket from the base to the top with jelly and donuts and sweet soda pop. Pack it and stack it with sugar galore. Cram it and slam it, then quick, shut the door.
The party resumed and got back to full swing. Now with no worries, they started to sing. With problems you solve them by thinking them through and finding solutions from things you could do. There's no need to worry and tear out your hair when the answer to problems is not very clear. Just think of the outcome you want to achieve. The key to the magic is that you believe. Astra was drooping, her feet they did drag. This daring young astronaut started to lag. "It's time for my exit, I'm sure you'll agree. That dancing is one thing, but eating's for me."
Well, I'm glad that you joined us and had a good time, and sung a fine song and rhymed a good rhyme.
She pressed all the buttons and twiddled the dial, snuck back to her bed with cunning and guile. Once out of her helmet and snuggled in tight, she ate one big cream puff, then out went the light.
Now, the last game we'll play in this show is Who Am I? We've had When Am I? Where Am I? This game is called Who Am I? So you're about to get some clues. Don't forget to write down some notes. You're allowed to use Google. from those clues, try and guess who it is we're talking about. Here come those clues.
What's his name? What's she called? I think I know who that is. Who could it be? Let's wait and see what the clues are to this quiz.
He was born on March 14, 1879 in Ulm, the Kingdom of Württemberg in Germany. He was a famous German-born scientist and theoretical physicist who is credited for the development of the general theory of relativity. His parents were Jewish. They were called Hermann and Pauline. His father was an engineer and salesman, and his mother was a housewife. He had a younger sister called Maya. He worked for a Swiss patent office from 1902 as a clerk. It was during this time that his theories really started to develop. He produced 4 papers which were published in 1905 in a physics journal, and he created the equation E equals mc squared, which was published in his 4th paper. 1905 became known as a miracle year for this man.
What's his name? What's she called? I think I know who that is.
Oh, that one was easy, surely. I'll give you a clue. E equals mc squared. Ooh, that was a dead giveaway. Let's finish with a song, shall we?
Maddie and Sarah had never ever been to the moon in a bath. So late one winter's evening they went just for a laugh. Oh, covered in bubbles, here comes trouble. Off they flew to the moon. There goes trouble, covered in bubbles went Maddie and Sarah to the moon. They landed with a thud, they were covered in mud, but it was a bit of a laugh. But they got quite clean, you should have seen them on the moon in a bath. Oh, covered in bubbles, here comes trouble. Flying their bath to the moon. There goes trouble, covered in bubbles went Maddie and Sarah to the moon. They were scared by an alien, he was called Damien. This was not much fun. The alien Damien, he took aim at them with his alien gun. Maddie and Sarah had never been scared, they had trembling knees. The alien Damien, he took aim and then covered them both with cheese. Now you'll be pleased that all that cheese was washed off in their bath, and they were joined by Damien the alien, and it was quite a laugh. Oh, covered in bubbles, here comes trouble on the moon in a bath. Damien the alien, Maddie and Sarah, they were having a laugh.
So, did you guess what this week's theme was? That's my lot for another week. Thanks ever so much for joining me. Please do tell all your friends about That's the Story and see if you can talk someone into subscribing this week. Have a great day.